Shinobu, here is something strange. In Japan, workers get paid holidays every year, and many people don't use them.
That is true. Free days off already given to you, and still people leave them unused.
But why? Today we ask the big question. Why do Japanese people work so much? And I promise the answer is more interesting than you think.
Welcome to Japan with Ninjas, the podcast where we explore Japanese culture in slow, easy English.
I'm Hikari, and today's topic is a serious one, but a really important one.
And I'm Shinobu. Today, Japanese work culture. Where it came from, the hard truth about it, and the real changes happening right now.
We always try to be honest on this show, so today we will talk about the beautiful parts and the difficult parts.
That is the right way. Let's start with the facts. First, a surprise. If you look only at official numbers, Japanese working hours today are not the highest in the world. They have actually come down a lot over the last 30 years.
Wait, really? So the image of Japan as the hardest working country is out of date?
Partly, but the official numbers hide something. There is a word here, Sabisu zangyo, service overtime. It means unpaid overtime that never appears in the records.
Working for free after hours, and it isn't even counted. So the real hours are longer than the numbers say.
And here is the clearest sign. Japanese workers get about 20 paid vacation days a year, but on average, they use only around half of them.
Only half? But it's their right. Why would anyone give up free time off?
Because taking a day off means your work goes to your colleagues. People feel they are causing trouble for the team. The word for that feeling is meiwaku, being a bother to others.
Meiwaku again. Same as the trash and cleaning episodes. Always thinking about the other person.
Exactly the same root. In Japan, that thinking makes the streets clean, and it also makes people afraid to rest.
The same beautiful value with a heavy cost. That's a lot to think about. So, where did this work culture actually come from? Was it always like this?
No. It really took shape after the Second World War. Japan was destroyed. Cities burned, factories gone. The country had to be rebuilt from nothing.
So people worked incredibly hard just to survive and rebuild.
And it worked. In about 30 years, Japan went from ruins to one of the largest economies in the world. People called it a miracle. That miracle was built on very long hours.
And I've heard about a special system in that era where you joined one company forever?
Yes. Shushin koyo, lifetime employment. You joined a company after school, and they promised to keep you until retirement. Your pay rose with your age, not your performance.
So the company took care of you for life, and in return, you gave the company your loyalty and your time.
The company became almost like a family. That is why there is a word, kaisha ningen, company person, someone whose whole identity is their job.
And that's where the salaryman image comes from, right? The dark suit, the long commute, the drinks after work?
Exactly. And those after-work drinks, nomikai, were not just fun. They were almost part of the job, where relationships were built.
Okay, Shinobu. Now the hard part. There is a Japanese word that entered the English dictionary, isn't there?
There is. Karoshi. It means death from overwork. It is a Japanese word that other languages borrowed because Japan had to name the problem first.
That's a very heavy thing for a country to be known for.
It is. In the 1980s and 1990s, some workers died from heart attacks and strokes after extreme overtime, sometimes over 100 extra hours in a single month.
100 extra hours in 1 month? That's like adding a whole second job.
And these cases became national news. Families spoke out. Courts recognized Karoshi. Slowly, Japan was forced to look honestly at itself.
So it wasn't hidden away? People pushed for change?
They did, and that matters. I want to be fair here. Japan is not the only country with overwork, but Japan admitted it publicly, gave it a name, and then started changing the law.
And that's the part I really want to talk about, because things are changing now, right?
They are, and faster than most people outside Japan realize. In 2019, a new law set legal limits on overtime, with real penalties for companies that break them.
An actual legal cap. And there's something about paid holidays, too, isn't there?
Yes. Now companies must make sure employees take at least 5 days of paid leave every year. Not may take, must take. The responsibility moved to the company.
That's clever. Now you're not being a bother by resting. Your boss has to make you rest.
And the biggest change is in young people. Many now say clearly that they will not give their whole life to one company. Changing jobs, once seen as strange, is becoming normal.
And remote work? That must have changed things too.
Hugely. Once people worked from home, many asked a simple question. Why was I commuting 2 hours a day for this? Some things never went back.
So the old image of Japan, the salaryman who never goes home, is slowly becoming history.
Slowly. I will not pretend it is solved. Unpaid overtime still exists, and change is uneven. But the direction is real, and it is moving.
And honestly, there's something beautiful underneath all this too, isn't there?
There is. The same culture gives us shokunin, the craftsman who spends 40 years perfecting one skill. Pride in your work is a gift. The challenge is keeping the pride without losing your life to it.
Recap time. Official Japanese working hours have dropped a lot, but unpaid service overtime hides the real numbers.
Workers use only about half their paid holidays because taking time off feels like causing trouble, meiwaku, for the team.
It began with rebuilding after the war and the lifetime employment system, where the company was almost your family.
The dark side has a name, Karoshi, death from overwork. Japan named the problem, and courts and families forced the country to face it.
And now it's changing. Legal overtime limits since 2019, 5 days of paid leave companies must give, more job changing, and remote work.
So, if you visit Japan and see someone still at their desk late at night, know that the story is more complicated and that it is slowly getting better.
If you found today's episode interesting, please subscribe and give us a like. It helps more curious learners find us. And today's question, how many paid holidays do people get in your country? And do they actually use them? We're really curious. Tell us in the comments.
Next time, another journey into the heart of Japan. Until then, work with pride, and please, take your day off.
See you next time on Japan with Ninjas. Matane.